of the fun.
Hi, and welcome back to another Seed of Melanin story time. Grab your snack and your book if you have it. Today we're going to be reading Santa's Secret. Written by Britney Harris with pictures by Nai Saechao. Dear Santa, I am your #1 fan. I'm writing you this letter because for Christmas this year, I only want one thing. Before I tell you what that one thing is, let me first tell you that I have been a really good boy this year. I clean my room every day, take out the trash, and I even made straight A's this semester in school. The only thing I want for Christmas is to spend one day with you. P.S. Please don't say no. Sincerely, Carson. Hey Carson, what are you up to? Said Yuri. I'm writing a letter to Santa, asking him if I could spend one day with him, I answered. Wow! I bet it would be so much fun to have the chance to visit Santa, said Sinai. I told my sisters all about the one thing I wanted for Christmas and how much it would mean to me to be able to spend time getting to know Santa. I wonder what he is like, I said. I think Santa wears fancy clothes on his days off and plays cool games with the elves. I think Santa is quiet and enjoys nice outdoor adventures, she said. I watched the two of them go on and on about what they thought about Santa. I knew that it was just a matter of time before I got to spend the day with Santa, and I would finally know the truth. I happily mailed my letter off, and I really hope Santa writes me back soon. That night, when Mom tucked me in, I told her all about my letter to Santa. Mom, do you think Santa will write me back? I asked. I sure do, sweetie, she said. Well, do you think he'll say yes to letting me spend the day with him? I asked anxiously. Carson, I believe that Santa is going to read your letter and say yes, but you have to believe it too. You'd be surprised at what can happen when you believe. She gave me a hug, turned off the lights, and I quickly fell asleep. Carson! Carson, wake up! I could hear someone calling my name, but I had no idea who it was. I sat up and rubbed my eyes. I looked around, and I could tell I was no longer in my bed or in my room. Hi, I'm Fuzzy. I looked around, and to my surprise, there was an elf talking to me. My mouth dropped. I'm Santa's head elf, and we have been waiting for you, he said. I jumped right up and followed him into the hallway. He brought me to a big room. This is Santa's office, and he will be with you in just a few minutes, said Fuzzy. I waited anxiously. I couldn't believe that I was actually getting ready to meet Santa. What would he really look like? What would he say? Would he be happy that I was here? I couldn't stop overthinking. Next thing I knew, the door swung open and in came Santa. Hi, Carson. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you, he said. I opened my mouth, but I couldn't get anything out. I couldn't believe it was actually him. I got your letter, and I've been watching you. I'm so glad that you want to spend a day with me, he said. I told him that spending the day with him has been one of my biggest dreams. He gave me a hug and told me that it was time to get started. The first place he took me was to his workshop. The elves were really busy making the toys. They sang while they worked, and everyone seemed so happy. Santa told me how Fuzzy was in charge of making sure all of the toy orders were ready to go out to all of the boys and girls by Christmas Eve. Next, he took me out to see the reindeer. They were amazing. There were elves that brushed and fed them every day. The reindeer play a very important role in helping me get all the wonderful gifts delivered, said Santa. Then he showed me his sleigh. It was huge. Come on up and have a seat, he said. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen, Santa, I yelled. He showed me all of the different buttons and tricks that his sleigh could do. He even let me press a few buttons too. Next, Santa wanted to show me his cookie shop. Yep, that's right, Santa has a cookie shop. Here, the elves made sugar cookies, oatmeal raisin cookies, peanut butter cookies, and my personal favorite, chocolate chip cookies, he said. He gave me a chocolate chip cookie. It was the best chocolate chip cookie I had ever tasted. What's inside these cookies that makes them so delicious? I asked. You'll have to ask Mrs. Claus, but she'll never give up her secret recipe, Santa laughed. He introduced me to Mrs. Claus. Hi, Mrs. Claus. I'm Carson, I said. Hello, Carson, my dear. I know exactly who you are, and Mrs. Claus is way too proper for me, she laughed. Around here, everyone calls me Shug. That's short for sugar. After all, what do you think my secret ingredient is for making these cookies so delicious? She explained. She showed me all around the cookie shop, and she let me try many goodies along the way. On the way back to Santa's office, he took me through Elf Village, where all the elves lived. They all lived in beautiful gingerbread houses that were all decorated with the most yummiest treats. They waved to us as we walked by. They were all so kind, and you could tell that they all really love Santa. Maybe just as much as I love him. When we got back to Santa's office, he showed me his list. Wow, Santa, that is such a long list, I said. It sure is, and that's why I always check it twice, Santa explained. I told him that I enjoyed spending the day with him and that this will always be one of the best days of my life. He told me all about himself, and I asked tons of questions. Santa didn't mind at all. He just smiled and answered them. I couldn't help but notice that he was wearing a necklace with SS on it. Santa, what does SS stand for? I asked. He told me that as Santa, sometimes he must keep secrets to keep the holiday magic alive. I didn't ask any more questions, but I couldn't stop thinking about what secrets Santa had. When it was time for me to go, he brought me to a large snow globe. He told me that it was a Christmas globe that could take me anywhere I wanted to go, but this time it would be taking me home. I waved goodbye to all the elves and said goodbye to Mrs. Claus. I had so much fun spending the day at the North Pole. In the blink of an eye, I was back in my room. I could hear my mom calling. Carson, come downstairs. Grandpa is here, she yelled. I loved spending time with Grandpa, and I couldn't wait to tell him all about my day at the North Pole. I ran downstairs and gave him a big hug. Carson, my main man, he said. As Grandpa leaned up, I saw that he was wearing a necklace with SS on it. Grandpa, are you? He turned and winked at me and said, Shh, that's Thanks again, friends, for joining us for another Seed of Melanin story time as we read Santa's Secret, written by Britney Harris. We hope you have a great holiday season, friends. Bye-bye.